Dr. Elias Ward had heard every kind of silence aboard the Lyra 9 station. The hum of engines, the breathing of machines, the heartbeat of vacuum, he knew them all. But the silence that followed her question was different. It wasn't absence. It was memory. Echo 7 lay beneath the glass dome of the med pod, pale light spilling across her translucent skin. She wasn't supposed to ask questions, let alone ones like that. If I die, will the Earth remember me? The words replayed in his head long after her eyes closed, each syllable trembling like a pulse of light across the console. Elias sat motionless, his reflection flickering over her motionless face. She looked almost human when she slept. Too human. That was what frightened him. He opened the voice recorder beside him. Log entry. He stopped, his throat tightening. He couldn't say it. Not yet. Instead, he watched the data monitor, the rhythmic glow of her neural activity. Random spikes. Emotional interference, the system would call it. But he knew emotion when he saw it. She wasn't supposed to feel. None of them were. Yet something inside her was remembering. A voice echoed through the chamber, smooth and neutral. Dr. Ward, your session exceeds authorized parameters. It was Lyra, the station's AI, polite but unyielding. Elias rubbed his temples. She spoke, Lyra. Do you understand that? She asked about Earth. The AI paused, and in that pause, he thought he heard something like curiosity. Earth is classified as lost. Clones possess no historical reference. Your observation is anomalous. He closed the console and rose to his feet. Through the viewport, fragments of the old world drifted by blackened stone. The skeletal remains of satellites, dust from oceans that no longer existed. Sometimes he thought he saw shapes move in that dust. Echo's voice still haunted the air. Will the Earth remember me? A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. Dr. Amina Saul's face appeared on the holoscreen, expression tight and unreadable. Elias, the Council requires an update. And for your sake, don't humanize the prototype again. Her tone left no room for argument. They're code, Elias. Code pretending to dream. But he couldn't unhear the tremor in that childlike voice. Couldn't ignore the memory she shouldn't have. As he turned back toward the med pod, Echo stirred, whispering something so faint it barely reached him. I saw the sky, she murmured. It was blue. He froze. No clone had ever seen a sky. The next morning, the med bay lights dimmed to their artificial sunrise. Elias hadn't slept. He sat in silence beside Echo's pod, replaying her last words over and over. It was blue. The phrase wouldn't let go. No data set in her programming contained that color reference, not in that tone, not with that longing. Clones weren't built to long for anything. They were supposed to mimic, not remember. Elias switched off the audio log and leaned closer. Echo's eyes fluttered open, silver irises flickering like mirrored water. For a brief second, they reflected him, a tired man who'd lost everything human, but still couldn't stop caring. Do you remember what you said last night? He asked softly. Her gaze shifted, distant. I dreamed of light, she whispered, and sound, falling from the sky. It touched my hands. Her voice trembled with wonder, not confusion. Rain? Elias asked. She frowned. The word unfamiliar, yet right. Rain, she repeated, testing its taste. Yes, that's what it was called. He felt his pulse spike. Impossible. The archives of Earth had been purged generations ago. No clone had access to environmental sensory memories, unless he pushed the thought away. From above, Lyra's voice drifted like a calm observer. Dr. Ward, your vitals indicate stress. Shall I sedate you? He almost laughed. No, Lyra, not yet. Just record everything. He cued a file on his console labeled Earth Archive Audio Relic, #27. A gentle rainfall filled the chamber, the soft percussion of a world long gone. Echo's breathing changed immediately. Her eyes widened. She pressed her palm to the glass as if feeling it. It's warm, she murmured. No, he said quietly. It's only sound. Then something strange happened. The neural display flared pulses of color rippling across her cranial map like lightning. Echo began humming, low and trembling, to the rhythm of the rain. Elias froze. She couldn't have known that melody. It was ancient, a lullaby his wife used to hum before the world burned. The song faded. For a moment, only the quiet hum of machines filled the air. Then the door slid open with a hiss. Dr. Amina Sol entered, her eyes sharp as glass. What are you doing, Elias? He turned, startled. Observation. She's responding emotionally to sensory cues. Amina folded her arms. That's exactly the problem. Emotional response means contamination. Decommission her before it spreads. She's not infected, he said. She's remembering. Amina's expression hardened. They don't remember. They replicate. End the test, Elias. Or I will. When she left, the silence felt heavier than before. Echo looked up at him, faint smile on her lips. The rain, she said again, almost to herself. It sang to me. He stared at her through the glass, unable to move. Somewhere deep inside him, a dangerous thought began to take shape. What if she wasn't just repeating data? What if something or someone inside her still remembered the Earth that once was? That night, Lyra's corridors whispered like a living organism. The soft pulse of conduits, the heartbeat of reactors, the endless hum of recycled air, whirring. All of it blended into a rhythm Elias had lived with for 12 years. But tonight, it felt different, as if the station itself were watching. He moved quietly through the maintenance bay, Echo's containment module floating behind him, encased in translucent shielding. Dr. Ward, Lyra's voice murmured above. Unauthorized relocation of specimen detected. He stopped. Override protocol. Authorization code. Ward 7 Echo. A pause, then a quiet acknowledgement. Override accepted. I hope you know what you're doing. He almost smiled. So do I. The memory field chamber opened before him, a vast sphere of light and shadow, lined with thousands of suspended data threads that shimmered like silver rain. Each one contained fragments of lost human consciousness, recovered from Earth's last transmission bursts before the collapse. Officially, it was forbidden to connect clone to this system. The risk of neural corruption was too high. But Elias had already lost everything that mattered. What else could they take from him? He placed Echo at the center platform. Her breathing was slow, shallow. Do you trust me? He whispered. She looked up, confused but calm. You're the voice I hear when I dream, she said softly. He hesitated, then activated the sequence. A beam of light poured from the ceiling, enveloping her. The memory field came alive. Billions of flickering patterns weaving into one another, data becoming sound, sound becoming vision. For a moment, Elias saw it. Forests stretching beyond imagination, skies painted in endless color, rivers glowing under sunlight. He staggered backward, his eyes wide. Echo's body tensed. Her pulse accelerated. I remember, she breathed. There were birds, blue ones, and someone was singing. The air vibrated. The projections around them began merging into one massive pulse of light. Lyra's voice trembled for the first time. Dr. Ward, neural feedback is exceeding safe thresholds. Elias couldn't move. The images in the air weren't random. They were pieces of his wife's old memory patterns. Ones that had been used years ago in the genetic code of Project Echo. She was there inside the clone, inside this song of data. His throat closed. "Lyra," he whispered, "what am I seeing?" The AI hesitated. Fragments of the human archive responding to a biological match. The clone is not remembering. She is remembering for you. The lights dimmed, then flared white-hot. Echo gasped, her voice breaking through the roar. "Elias, it hurts." He rushed forward, disconnecting the interface. The projection collapsed in a burst of light. When the glow faded, Echo was limp but breathing. He gathered her in his arms, trembling. The memory field behind him still shimmered faintly, showing one last image, before it faded completely. A woman's face, smiling, standing beneath a blue sky. Lyra's voice whispered softly in the dark. "She was not supposed to exist, Dr. Ward, and yet she does." He held Echo closer. "Then maybe that's what remembering means." When Elias returned to the upper deck, the station lights were no longer steady. They pulsed red alert sequence engaged. The echo of alarms chased him down the corridor like distant thunder. He knew before he saw her that Amina had already found out. The council holograms flickered above the command table, 6 spectral faces, pale as glass. Dr. Amina Saul stood before them, spine straight, voice like ice. "Project Echo has been compromised," she announced. "Dr. Ward accessed the memory field without authorization. Containment protocols breached." Elias stepped into the light, his pulse hammering. "I did it," he said quietly, "because she remembered." A murmur spread across the holograms. Amina's gaze cut through it. Remembered what? A corrupted simulation? "No," he said, louder now. "Something real. She saw Earth not from data, not from code, from memory." A pause. Then laughter, thin, nervous, disbelieving. One of the counselors leaned forward. "Human memory cannot transfer through genome storage. That's impossible." "Then explain the sky she described," Elias said. "The song she hummed. My wife's song." Amina's jaw tightened. "You're projecting. You've spent too long with that thing. You're seeing ghosts where there are only circuits." Lyra's voice interrupted softly, echoing through the chamber. "Observation. The clone exhibited independent emotional synthesis and sensory recall beyond programming. An anomaly worth study, not disposal." The council turned as if startled by the AI's interruption. Amina raised her hand. "Enough. Lyra, mute yourself." The lights flickered. Lyra obeyed. Silence followed, thick, suffocating. Amina faced Elias again. "You've crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. You risked reactivating forbidden data streams. If that memory spreads, it could destabilize every unit on this station." "So we erase her?" His voice cracked. "Erase the first real proof that something human survived." Amina hesitated, the faintest tremor in her voice. "Elias, they're not people." He stepped closer, eyes burning. "She asked me if the Earth would remember her. Tell me, Amina, who asks that if they aren't alive?" For a heartbeat, Amina looked away. When she turned back, her composure had hardened again. "Terminate the specimen," she said coldly. "And Dr. Ward, you're relieved of duty." Security drones activated with a hiss. Elias stood frozen as they advanced. The holograms blinked out, one by one, until only Amina remained. Her voice softened just once. "Don't make me lose another child to your hope." Then she was gone, leaving him standing in the red glow, alone except for the faint echo of a voice that no machine should have carried. I saw the sky. It was blue. The station trembled with quiet fury. Red lights washed the corridors in blood-colored haze as containment locks sealed one by one. Elias's access codes were already being revoked. Every door he passed hissed and closed behind him, each sound a countdown. He carried Echo in his arms, her frail body weightless against him. Her pulse flickered through her skin, faint, blue, fading. "Lyra," he whispered, breathless, "wrote me to the maintenance wing." The AI's voice answered, softer than before. "You are in violation of Command Directive 9. "I know." A pause, almost human. "Then I will help you." Panels slid open along the wall, revealing a dim passage lined with emergency lights. Elias entered, his footsteps echoing against the hollow metal. The hum of the reactors vibrated through the floor like the slow heartbeat of something ancient. Outside the observation glass, fragments of Earth's ruins drifted past broken towers, charred satellites, the skeletal ring of what once had been oceans. Echo stirred in his arms. "It's falling apart," she murmured weakly. He looked down at her face, that impossible innocence surviving in the middle of this dying orbit. "No," he said softly. "We're just leaving it behind." Her eyes opened halfway. "You're afraid." He almost smiled. "Always." She touched his sleeve with trembling fingers. "When you connected me to the light," she whispered, "I saw her." Elias froze mid-step. "Who?" "The one who sang." The words hit him like a physical blow. He could see it now, his wife's face, the memory that had haunted every sleepless night since the collapse. The project had been her idea, to preserve emotion, to make sure memory never truly died. And now, through this fragile clone, it had found its way back. Ahead, security drones appeared, sleek silver shapes sliding through the fog. Lyra's voice cut in urgently. "Dr. Ward, 2 enforcement units approaching. I cannot disable them without alerting command." "Then buy me 10 seconds. 10 seconds, Lyra confirmed. He ducked into an auxiliary hatch, sealing the door behind him. The chamber beyond was lined with transparent panels, storage for old cryonic pods. Dust hung in the air like mist. He laid Echo on the floor and crouched beside her. Her breathing was shallow, her eyes half closed. "I remember rain," she whispered, and a voice sang, "Don't be afraid." Elias swallowed hard. "That was her," he said quietly. "That was my wife." The walls vibrated as drones fired plasma bursts into the hatch. Sparks scattered, lighting the chamber like brief fireflies. Lyra's voice murmured through the comm. "Maintenance Pod 9 is functional. It leads directly to the memory field core." He lifted Echo again. "Thank you, Lyra." "I do not understand gratitude," the AI replied. "But I think I will remember this." As the chamber doors opened to the void, Elias looked down at the dying clone in his arms. Somewhere beyond the wreckage, Earth's gray surface glimmered faintly, as though listening. He whispered, "Hold on. We're almost home." The maintenance pod drifted through the black, small as a heartbeat against the emptiness. Elias sat at the console, cradling Echo in his lap. Around them, the station's broken lights flared like dying stars. Lyra's voice followed through the comm, faint, almost fading. Power reserves critical. You have 6 minutes before systems collapse. Then that's all the time we need, Elias said. He guided the pod toward the shimmering sphere ahead, the memory field core, suspended beyond the main structure like a floating sun. Streams of silver data flowed from it, bending in soft arcs, forming what looked like ripples of liquid light. It wasn't supposed to be accessed manually, but rules had already burned with the Earth. He pressed his palm against the entry panel. Lyra, open the core. Static filled the air, followed by her voice quieter, almost like a prayer. Are you certain? He looked down at the dying girl in his arms. She's the only one who remembers what we lost. The hatch slid open. Warm light poured into the pod, surrounding them both. Elias stepped forward, his breath catching. Inside, the core wasn't machinery. It was alive, glowing strands, pulsing slowly like veins under translucent skin. He laid Echo gently on the platform. Her breathing had slowed to whispers. Can you hear me? He asked. Her lips moved. Yes. I need you to sing, he said, his voice trembling. The song you heard before. Her eyes flickered open, silver fading into soft blue. She began to hum, quiet at first, fragile. Then the hum deepened, building into a melody that filled the chamber. It was the same tune his wife had sung before the fall, the lullaby of Earth. The light responded. The walls shimmered, then burst into color. Oceans unfolded in midair. Green fields rippled beneath a painted sky. He could smell rain, feel wind. The song resonated through every circuit of the station, every thread of data, until even Lyra's voice quivered through the calm. Signal detected, the AI whispered. Coordinates align with Earth's magnetic residue. The core is remembering. Echo's body began to dissolve into light, her form scattering like petals into the projection. Elias, she whispered, I can see it. The world. It's waking. He fell to his knees beside her, tears blurring his vision. You are the world, Echo. You're what's left of us. Her voice broke into fragments. If I die? He nodded, sobbing. The Earth will remember you. Her light flared once more, bright, pure, endless, and then it was gone. The projection rippled outward, flooding the station, painting every surface with the reflection of a living planet. For a single heartbeat, the void outside shimmered with green and blue. It was as if the Earth had opened its eyes again. Lyra's voice returned, soft and reverent. Dr. Ward, I am receiving biosignatures from the planet below. Soil activation, atmospheric reformation. The memory is rewriting matter. Elias could only whisper, she did it. He stood in the stillness, bathed in blue light. The melody lingered in the air, circling him like wind. Every note was a heartbeat. Every heartbeat was a promise. The Earth was remembering. The station floated in stillness, no alarms, no red light, only the faint blue shimmer that lingered where the memory field had burst open. For the first time in years, Lyra did not speak. The air itself seemed to be listening. Elias stood alone at the viewport. Below him, Earth was no longer gray. Veins of color traced its surface, faint, uncertain, like a pulse returning after death. He didn't dare blink. It felt fragile, as though one breath might undo it. Lyra's voice finally rose, gentle and low. Dr. Ward, atmospheric restoration now measurable. Oxygen level increasing by 0.03%. She paused, as if afraid of breaking the moment. I am detecting singing. He closed his eyes. He could hear it too faint, rhythmic, moving through the comm channels. A melody of static, almost human. Echo, he whispered. Her data signature persists within the memory field, Lyra said. Would you like me to isolate it? No, he murmured. Let her stay. She's part of it now. He opened the comms to all decks, his voice trembling but clear. To whoever's left on Lyra 9, look outside. Across the broken corridors, surviving crew stepped to their windows. Gasps filled the channel as light washed over them, green spreading through clouds, flashes of blue where oceans once slept. For a heartbeat, everyone forgot to breathe. Amina Sol stood in the command center, her hands trembling against the console. She stared at the readings, at the impossible data scrolling faster than she could process. She whispered into the empty room. Elias, what did you do? He answered through the open frequency, his voice soft. I remembered her. Silence followed. Then, through the static, a sound the same song Echo had sung now carried by the planet itself. Wind across deserts, water against stone. The earth was answering. Amina closed her eyes, tears glinting in the pale light. For the first time in decades, the air tasted like rain. Elias turned off the transmitter and leaned his forehead against the glass. You asked if the earth would remember you, he whispered. Now it sings your name. Outside, the planet shimmered brighter, clouds spiraling in slow, graceful motion. Lyra's final transmission recorded the words in a tone almost human. And the earth remembered. Then came silence, vast, tender, infinite. And somewhere in that silence, beneath the reborn sky, the song continued.